Get me that signal. We need more power.
All right, we are here with Asmodee Editions, and I'm talking to Sean Jacquemain, and we are going to find out what they've brought along to Gen Con and what we can expect from Asmodee here and in the future. Sean, welcome, and what's going on?
Thank you very much. Yeah, great to be here. So, the first one I want to talk to you about is Barony, and this is a very interesting game by Marc-Andre. It is a sort of an area control game. It's got a bit of flavor of Catan in it, and there's an interesting setup. The board itself is a modular board that you're going to set up differently each time you play. Great bits to it. There are cities, settlements, strongholds, and knights in all of the different colors. The cities are actually quite big and nice and chunky in there. And the board gets set up, and then there is a setup process, like kind of a boomerang setup process, where the first player will put out a city and a knight, and then the second and the third, and then the fourth will play out 3 cities and knights, and then the third will place out 2 more, and the second will place out 2 more, and then the first player will place out 2 more. And then from that point forward, it is just a very simple option of 6 different possible actions that you can take each round, from moving your knights around the board, to making new settlements, turning your settlements into cities, banking points, doing various things along the way. But everything you do on the game board is pretty simple. I kind of like think about it like Catan, taking out the dice rolling and resources and adding in a little bit of combat and area control that you can fight over the territory. So Barony, when I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be super complicated, but it's actually dead simple to learn. So that's the first one I'm pretty excited about.
Is Barony out now?
Barony, it is going to be out in the next couple months. Yeah, it'll be available. Everything here is going to be available. Elysium is out right now that we'll talk about shortly, but everything else should be within the next couple months.
Okay.
So Starfighter is the next one I want to talk to you about. Starfighter is a very cool idea for a game. It is a head-to-head tactical space combat game. And in Starfighter, the idea is that you yourself are on the bridge of a giant star cruiser, and your smaller ships are waging war with each other. And so each round, you're going to take turns playing out cards which kind of set up where your ships are going to be. And at the end of each round, you will actually execute the battles that you've set up. And as ships gets destroyed, it'll reveal cards underneath which can reveal special actions to pick up new cards or to do damage to your opponent, that sort of thing. And ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your fighters to still be around long enough that they can do damage directly to the player on the bridge of the Star Cruiser. So ultimately everybody starts with a set of life that is going to be ticking down as the health of their Star Cruiser ticks down. So simple game, 2 players, and it plays in about 30 minutes. So great lunchtime board game fare.
Nice.
Right, yeah, nice. So the next one is Ryu, and this game is pretty cool. Like artistically, just right off the bat, it is very neat. So the idea behind Ryu is that the dragon Ryu, who has been slumbering for thousands of years, is returning to the planet Titan. And Titan is made up of 9 different islands, and so each different island has action that you can execute there, and each player is going to have their own dragon meeple that they will move around the different islands, executing actions, and the ultimate goal that they're trying to do is design and create a dragon statue in honor of Ryu, and whoever is able to complete their statue the fastest is going to win the favor of Ryu, and he will be pleased by their actions. So as you move around the board, what you can do, the major thing you're going to be doing, at least early on in the game, is exploring other people's islands. And when you explore an island, you flip it to the explored side or the exhausted side, and you flip the exploration coin that's either going to come up with a 4 side or a 5 side. And then you're going to reach in the bag and pull out 4 or 5 of these cubes, which represent dragon scales, dragon claws, and dragon teeth, which are all going to be components in your statue. And you you and the person whose island you're exploring are going to split those up. So if you get 4, you'll take the first one. The person whose island it is will take the next 2, and you'll take the last one. If it's 5, the person whose island it is will split them in whatever way they want. Probably 3 and 2, but maybe 4 and 1. And then you're going to get first pick of the pile that they make. So ultimately, as you're building the different stages of your dragon statue, you're going to be spending these cubes to do so, and it is like a set collection game to try and get these done. And that's basically the idea. There are other islands where you can do things like steal cubes from your opponents, or make them put cubes back into the bag, or exchange cubes for wild cards, that sort of thing.
Okay, so there's some player interaction.
Yes, absolutely, and a little bit of take that too. Like you can spend some time building up your collection, your set collection, and just have it stolen from you at the most inopportune moment, which makes for a great dragon statue building game. Of course, yeah, it's what you would want. So the next one is Discoveries, and this is a very cool one. It is. I don't want to say it's certainly not an expansion to the hit Lewis and Clark, but I would say it's a sequel. All right, and so it is like a very recognizable art. It is the same artist, the same designer, and what's cool about it is that this is a dice version of the game, and it is a completely different feel. So you don't have to have played the original Lewis and Clark to have a great time with this game and have a great experience with this game. So what you're trying to do is you'll be rolling dice and using them to execute different actions. And the actions you can do is explore different cards. There are exploration cards that you're trying to complete, and each exploration card has a path that you want to complete from top to bottom. And most of them have a split off that'll go into different directions, so you'll have options as to how you complete that card. There are also American Indian cards, which you can make treaties with American Indians, and those will give you special abilities or actions that you can do throughout the course of the game. Now, some of these exploration cards, as you explore them, they will give you different things you're trying to collect, like birds, there is plants, fish, and mammals as well. And as you collect them throughout the course of the game, full sets of birds, plants, fish, and mammals are going to get you points. Also, you'll see that there are teepees here, and at the end of the game, the person who's collected the most teepees is going to get different points at the end of the game as well. So there is some nice player interaction. You can steal dice from each other. You can steal the cards that other people want to do, and just a very simple game. So if you like Lewis and Clark, or even if you haven't even tried Lewis and Clark, this is a good one to check out.
Nice.
So here is Elysium. Yes, and this game, I've been playing this for a little while now, and I'm a big fan of Elysium. Yeah, very cool idea for a game. This game is all about card synergies, finding the relationship between the cards that are out there. And so each game you're going to play, you're going to choose 5 of the 8 included gods in the box, and use their decks to make up one larger deck. And so what's neat about that is each of the different 8 gods has their own sort of style and personality. Poseidon is an attacky god. Apollo will allow you to look into the future and see some cards that are coming out. So which gods you use is going to determine the feel of the game that you're going to have. But on top of that, they got a different artist for each of the different gods as well.
Really?
So on top of there being a different feel in terms of style of play, the art is dramatically different. So like really give personality to the gods that are out there, which is cool. The real neat thing I like about Elysium is the economy of the game. So the currency of the game is these 4 pillars that you're going to have, and you're going to play through 5 epochs, and in each epoch you're going to acquire 3 cards and 1 quest, and the cost for any of those things is one of your pillars. Now, the way it works, though, is you see that the cost of, or it looks like the cost of the card here, but that's actually the requirement of the card. So, for example, if I want to acquire this card here, I need to have my green pillar still in my play area. But I can spend any pillar to get it. So if I look at this board and I say, well, you know what, I'd like to get that blue card, but it's not as important to me as the other ones, I want this green card, I can hold onto my green pillar and spend my blue one if that's what I want to do, if that's what makes most sense. I could spend my green one if I wanted to, but the cost of any of these is actually one pillar. The requirement is having these particular pillars in my play area still. When I acquire a card, it goes to my domain, so it'll have abilities that I can use either immediately or at different points during the game. And at the end of each epoch, there's going to be a transfer phase where we write the legend. So up here, these are the legends that are occurring as we speak, and these are the stories of the gods that are happening. And when we enter the transfer phase, that is when we are writing the legends about these gods and recording the stories. So at that point, the cards in our domain, we can pay to transfer them down to our Elysium, and down here is where we're actually going to get points at the end of the game. So we are building legends down here, and legends can either be the same color but different number, or they can be the same number, different color. So once you move them down, you're going to decide where they're going to go, and you're going to try and write the best legends about these gods that you can. So that's Elysium. Very simple and straightforward, but I love finding those card synergies. So very, very neat game there. Cool. I've got Queen's Architect here, and the Queen's Architect is it is under the Queen label. Really, really neat game. This one, I would say, is the brain burner that we're putting out in the con this year. Really? It is the one that is the most thinky. And as the staff has been learning this game, there is a very distinct moment where we're struggling and trying to figure it out, and then all of a sudden it clicks for us. And so the game is only rated at about an hour, and I would say that's certainly true once you know it. The first half hour of the game, everybody's kind of moving slowly and figuring out what they're trying to do, and then all of a sudden you see it click for them, and everybody's actions start going very quickly. The more experienced with this game you are, the faster I think it's going to go. So what's neat about this is everybody has their own unique little action board here, and you'll have a little worker here who's going to move around the board 1 to 3 spaces each turn, and where he ends up is the action that you're going to be able to execute. Now, ultimately what you want to do is you want to move your carriage around the different parts of the city and build buildings in those different areas. So each different area requires a different worker to construct a building there. And what we have here is the workers. Now, one of the actions you can do is hire a worker. And when you hire a worker, you'll take them from this marketplace here. Now, the workers, depending on how much you pay, the more you pay for them, the more actions you're going to get out of them. So the workers, depending on when you get them, are going to come into your board like this, and every time you execute an action that is going to require your workers to work, you're going to turn them clockwise, and that's going to reduce the amount of actions you have for them. So the number that you have here determines not only it is relating to not only how many actions they have left, but also how well they're going to do an action. So they don't always necessarily tick down, but as you tick them down, that's fewer and fewer actions you're going to have. Sometimes you want to tick it down a little bit just because there's a higher number down there, and that means they can execute the action worth more points. Right. The ultimate goal is to climb your meeples up here. There is a point track up here that's put out randomly each time, and you want to be able to get up to the top and execute an action worth 15 points while you're in the center of the town. And that's basically the idea of it. So it's all about figuring out how to move around your workers, get them in the right space, so that when you are actually cashing in on their actions, you're going to get the maximum amount of points.
Getting the most efficiency on it.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a lot of things to think about when you're playing this game, but it all comes together in such an elegant way that after like a playthrough, you'll really get the feel for it very quickly. So I really like this one. This one I hadn't known much about before this con, but I was blown away when I first played it. So very, very good game. And the last two games I want to talk to you guys about is Takenoko Chibis and Five Tribes, the Artisans of Naquala. So these are the two big expansions that we're talking about this year at Gen Con. And so Five Tribes, the Artisans of Naquala, what you're going to get there is a new tribe, the Tribe of the Artisans. It is still 5 tribes, not 6 tribes, as despite what you might think, we can count, but it is still 5 tribes. So the Artisans are going to make available items, and there's different items. They can give you special actions that you can execute. Some of them are worth points, and they're just going to help you out throughout the course of the game. We also have some new city tiles, and there's some pretty neat ones in there. The city tiles are going to unlock different things that you can do, and they're going to be played out at the start of the game. They'll make the center of your board, and then you'll build the rest of the board around them, making a 6x6 grid instead of a 5x5 grid.
Okay.
We've got the chasm that's going to be in the center, and that's going to be a dead space, as well as 6 mountains that have specific places they're going to go on the new tiles, and that's going to really change the way you think about how you play out your meeples. So very interesting. We also added some new tents, and the tents work almost exactly like camels, except for you're going to score points for the surrounding red territories rather than the surrounding blue territories.
Right.
Yeah. So all in all, this it doesn't add. This one adds a bit of complexity, but different ways to play more than anything else.
Yes.
And Takenoko Chibis. So we did the impossible. We made the cutest game ever, even cuter. The panda family is growing, so we are adding Mama Panda and 9 little baby panda tokens that are coming into the game. So yeah, it's beautiful. So what we've got is a Mama Panda figurine, and she's going to start off the board. But the first time we get a territory that has the Mama Panda face on it, she's going to come out onto the board, and then she's going to move just like Papa Panda moves. When you take the Move Panda action, you are going to choose which one you want to move. Now, if you move Mama Panda to the space where Papa Panda is, she's going to spend a piece of bamboo from her stomach and produce a baby, because we know the way to a panda's heart is through food, and so that is what's going to happen. So whatever color she discards, she's going to produce a baby of that color. So there are 3 different babies in each of the different colors of bamboo. So when those babies come out, they're going to have a special ability, and they're going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game, which is, all of that is very cool. One of the things I think is the coolest is the new land tiles. So we've got a new variety of tiles. There's a new pond that will be discovered throughout the course of the game, and it'll work just the way as the starting pond does. It can irrigate anything around it, and you can start building irrigation channels off of it. There is the Sacred Hills, which when the gardener ends his movement there, every irrigated tile of that color is going to grow a piece of bamboo, not just adjacent ones, which is pretty cool. We got the Kemis Gardens, which can grow all 3 different colors of bamboo. In terms of plot tiles, it can be considered any colored plot tile in terms of completing objective cards. And we've got the gardener's cabin. So when the gardener ends his turn there, he is going to draw the top card of all 3 of the different objective piles, choose one to keep, and discard the rest. So really, really nice expansion to the game, and makes the panda family, like I say, just a little bit bigger. So very cool. And those are the big ones that we're looking at for Gen Con. I haven't even mentioned Mysterium, actually, and I can't even show you Mysterium because Mysterium is like the hit of the con.
It's mysteriously vanished.
It is mysteriously vanished. Well, it not mysteriously vanished because it's been so popular. We don't even have one that I can show you because they've been ripped from our hands by the eager con-goers, and we're happy to have had some of them there. So, but Mysterium is the English version of the Polish hit. We've changed a few things to make it a bit more streamlined and to involve player interaction a little bit more. And there's all new art for the cards and the boards, and a new screen for the player who takes on the role of the ghost. So a lot of nice new additions for that game as well. So
now, is Mysterium also coming out soon?
Mysterium will be out as soon as possible. I think my understanding is that it is on a boat on its way over here, and we had a few copies shipped over, like flown over, so that we had some here for people. Yeah, exactly. So we wish we had more. It's unfortunately been in short supply, but we're happy that some people have gotten it.
Sean, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk.
No problem, Elliott. Glad to have met you.